Hello, my name is Luke McCallum, and my goal is to teach creative writing at the community college level. I studied at Portland Community College, where I received an associate's degree, before transferring to Western Oregon University, where I received a bachelor's degree in education and communication. I am currently pursuing a master's degree with Grand Canyon University in communication with an emphasis on education. I have been a high school basketball coach for 2 years, and I have years of experience teaching Sunday school and Bible studies for different age groups. The purpose of this video is to identify effective strategies for communicating with adult learners and overcoming challenges to communication, including interpersonal conflict. In this video, I will discuss 3 strategies that foster effective communication with adult learners, potential challenges to communication in the higher education setting, and ways to overcome them, 2 strategies for de-escalating interpersonal conflict, and finally, a statement on how effective communication supports student success and creates a positive classroom environment. The first and most important strategy for communicating effectively is to listen. Good listening precedes skillful communication because an appropriate response or fitting solution to a problem or question can only be formulated after hearing and understanding the details and nuances of the situation. Responding prematurely forfeits the opportunity to acquire important details and shows inattentiveness, which discourages my audience from being receptive to my ideas. According to Perlmutter, I can gain the trust of my audience by paying attention while they fully express themselves. My partner in the interaction is my best resource for finding out what I should say and how I should say it. Therefore, it is best to avoid being distracted and devote my full attention to the person and what they are saying. I can use eye contact and body language to show that I am hearing them and thinking about their message. I can ask questions to clarify their meaning and summarize their main points in the beginning of my response to show I have understood them. The second strategy for communicating effectively is to be clear. Clarity is an important teacher communication behavior that helps teachers organize material, communicate expectations, explain concepts, give examples and feedback, ask questions, and respond to students' inquiries. I should avoid needless repetition and lengthy explanations for simple ideas, but rather be aware of what is appropriate for the situation and take a straightforward approach to communicating with students and ensuring their attainment of academic goals related to the content. I should use precise language to convey meaning in as few words as possible and confirm important details in writing. Examples of written communication that support clarity include syllabi, rubrics, and written feedback provided to students. These forms of communication should support and reiterate what I have communicated in person to ensure I am being as clear as possible. Kilgore emphasizes the importance of using different methods to communicate with students to aid their retention in the class. Email, text, phone call, or LMS messages can be used for different purposes and messages. Using brevity and clarity will help me communicate effectively with my students in various forms. The third strategy for communicating effectively is to build relationships. By knowing my students personally and establishing positive relationships with them, I can increase my awareness of their learning needs and position myself to be adaptive to my students and the learning situation. Research indicates that to maximize students' cognitive learning, teachers must motivate them, make them feel good about themselves and their abilities, promote their enjoyment of the learning process, and create positive attitudes about the class and subject matter. Teachers can attain these conditions for their students by using immediacy behaviors, such as smiling, making eye contact, moving around the room, gesturing, calling students by name, using personal examples, using appropriate humor, and encouraging students to talk with them and each other. Strategically employing these practices will help me build positive relationships with my students and open the channels of communication. Some potential challenges to effective communication include time constraints and cultural differences. Adult learners have important things to attend to outside the classroom and other commitments and pursuits that take up their time, such as their jobs and families, to name only a few. This could make communicating effectively with them challenging because they simply do not have the time to hear or respond to my messages. To combat this, I must be available to meet or communicate with my students outside of class and inform my students about when and how they can communicate with me. Technology can help in this area, with cell phones being widely available and equipped for sending and receiving messages instantly. I can also schedule meetings with students to meet during my office hours when this is a possibility for them. In the syllabus, I can provide a comprehensive list of ways my students can reach me, and I can further express my availability to students by being open to ideas they have about possible ways we can communicate. Some students may also be coming from cultures with different values about communication than what I am accustomed to. By getting to know my students and conducting my own research about other cultures, I can increase my understanding of these issues and be ready and capable to address any problems if they arise. Conflict can present a barrier to communication, which is why I'm including in this video 2 strategies for de-escalating interpersonal conflict. The first strategy for de-escalating conflict is to use empathy. By empathizing with my students during a conflict, I can consider their point of view and put myself in their position. Doing this will help me identify an appropriate solution that fits both of our needs. Dylan writes, "When you learn more about why someone has a different view than you do, and you have a chance to explain your own, you are far more likely to find a creative solution that works for both of you." The second strategy is to identify and emphasize common ground. Conflicts often stem from differences, which makes finding common ground one of the best strategies for de-escalating conflict. I must communicate to my students that I am on their side and invested in their success, so that disputes can be solved more easily. Our common ground is that we both want them to succeed, and by standing on this ground, we can more easily identify a compromise or a path forward that will help both of us achieve our goal. I can support my students' success and create a positive classroom environment by being eager to listen, communicating clearly, and building relationships with my students. I can help my students succeed and encourage them to communicate with me by being available to them outside of class. Broadening my perspective on other cultures will equip me to overcome challenges to communication relating to cultural differences. I can de-escalate conflicts when they arise by using empathy and emphasizing common ground. These strategies will help me communicate effectively with my students and facilitate their learning and achievement of academic goals. Thanks so much for listening.